Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Anime One back here with another video, and today we're gonna be talking about what if Naruto was neglected and ended up like Obito, part 8. So let's begin the video. 7 arrived at the academy for the test. A large number of high-ranking shinobi were outside, cheering for the Genin on as they entered. A shady few individuals also hung around outside as they kept tabs on those who were entering. Most likely, they were gathering information while the rest of the squad was inside acting normal. So, the exam. Suki started with a confident tone as he walked to the halls with the two teammates. As they walked around, looking for the room that they all had to go to. Why they couldn't just make the exam room on the fourth damn floor? They didn't have to do so many trivial things. Gah! Heard someone yell from afar. The trio followed the sound of the person. Hmm, you can't even get past us. Just give up. If you're taking the tuning exams, Naruto looked in the direction of the person who had screamed in pain earlier ago. Green spandex, Naruto thought, looking at the person who had a bowl cut. He then paid back attention to the two that were guarding the door gate. Genjutsu. It's quite a simple one too. Naruto butted in his own voice. Everyone's attention quickly snapped to him. The two guards smirked a bit before chuckling evilly. Good job, I guess, but that was unneeded for you to do. Naruto stared at the two, making them feel quite uncomfortable with the gaze that he was holding. The tuning exams only contain the strongest of the Genins. There won't be no point if there are no strong enemies. Their smirk never ended from Naruto's words. Naruto looked at Suki and Mema before nodding. Alright, I see what you like doing. Then how will you deal with this? One yelled, throwing a punch right beside. Naruto didn't react or even flinch to this. He just stood there looking at the balled up hand that turned into a tight and needy grip. Someone suddenly appeared right in the middle of this and stopped the Chunin's leg from connecting with Naruto's face. Naruto looked at the person who had just blocked the attack for him. The green spandex teammates approached him, wondering what he was doing. I thought you said we should stay on a low profile. Naruto observed his other two teammates that he had. It seems like they had an agreement not on showing off their full power. Sorry about that. The boy walked past them and set his sights in front of Suki. Naruto gained an amused look on his face. Suki noticed this and glared at him. What the hell is he amused at? She thought, wondering what the hell was the exact reason why he was giving such an amused look on his face. Naruto was back on thinking. My name is Rock Lee. Suki-san, please go out with me. I'll protect you with my life. Suki sent Naruto a slight glare to his side. No, I had enough of love confessions. Suki walked right past the deflated Lee and stood right next to Naruto. Naruto ignored everything all around him and continued to think about what would happen on the exam. As we're in the academy, then that means we're probably doing a written exam first. Yes, that does seem the most likely. Naruto thought, looking at the person right next to him. What? He asked, annoyed at the face that she was currently giving him. God, he was such a dangerous human who had to be kept in check all the times. Suki was about to say something, but as soon as that, Naruto was once again lost in deep thoughts once more. Naruto slightly furrowed his eyebrows. Should we go up the floor? Our destination room is just a floor or up to, Naruto thought, looking at the floor that he was currently standing on top of. Is there a hidden meaning behind the tuning exams? Naruto thought to himself, ignoring most of his current surroundings. As he continued to think for a few seconds, he was soon disturbed. Naruto felt a wind gust right behind him. Out of instinct, Naruto dodged a kick to the head by ducking right towards the floor. Naruto switched himself with a shadow clone that he had summoned out of secrecy. Naruto appeared behind Lee. He and his lazy eyes just wouldn't stop looking at him. One Lee had just kicked was a clone that he had substituted with. It's too early for a fight. Naruto yawned, boing slightly. We'll just get going now. Naruto walked past Lee and gestured for Tsuki and Menma to follow. They nodded. He looked straight into Naruto's eyes. You're Naruto's monkey, correct? Naruto nodded. Guy Sensei told me that you are the best taijutsu user out of all the genins, he said. Fight me. I would like to see if you are really good. I'm a taijutsu specialist. If I want to be the best, I must beat what I consider the best. Naruto looked at the genin in front of him for a moment before speaking. As much as I would like to dance, I have no interest in taking part in a pointless dance. Dance? Lee confusedly said. Suki sighed. Naruto referred to fighting as a dance. Never had she once heard him say the word fight. It was always dancing with him. He means fight, she said, answering Lee, seeing the confused look on his face. When it sank in his head, Lee took a taijutsu stand. I'm afraid I must insist, he said. Naruto knew the boy was not going to take a no for an answer. He really hated being dragged into a fight he did not wish to take part in. He looked at Lee for a second and disappeared in a burst of speed. Despite Lee being in taijutsu stance, he was not expecting Naruto to attack him. He was also not expecting Naruto to move at a speed that he moved at. He could only move at the kind of speed without his weights. Naruto wore no weights, he only wore them when he was training. Now, Lee found himself wide-eyed, Naruto's kunai on his neck, positioned to pierce it. He could not do anything about the situation he was in. Naruto's knee was on the ground as he needed to get low to get in the position that he was in. He was in front of Lee with a kunai raised. Everyone who saw him was shocked at the speed. I refuse, Naruto said firmly. Lee nodded slowly. Good, Naruto said, retrieving his kunai. He then walked right past Lee, causing his teammates to follow him behind. Team 7 went up to the third floor, trying to find the room that they were all going to be assigned at. They all suddenly saw something worth their sight, they guess. Kakashi Sensei, Naruto said, getting Kakashi to turn around and give his signature eye smile. He waved alongside as he walked upright towards two of them. Yo, he said, stopping his walk once he was right in front of the three of them. They all nodded. It seems you're all here. They all nodded once more. It seems like three of us coming here together holds some significance, commented Tsuki, getting a puzzled look as he thought about what Kakashi had just said. Naruto knew exactly what Kakashi was talking about. We wouldn't have been able to enter if only two members had shown up. Oh, this surely aligned them. No, this was not a sarcasm, but the truth. Suki and Menma widened their eyes at the news. So if I hadn't come, then you and Suki wouldn't have been able to participate? Naruto and Kakashi nodded, knowing that Menma was absolutely correct in that theory. It was sort of like the bell test, but at the same time, it was not like it at all. Two of the teammates is not good enough and consider it and non-eligible. They all nodded. Kakashi smiled behind his mask. Anyway, it only has been a month or two since our team was made, and you all are already growing up to become a chunin. Exams. You all make your old sensei proud, Kakashi said. With fake tears, Naruto shrugged. Great. Now can we go? You're holding us up. These words, such hurtfulness, were coming out of one and only Suki Uchiha. Naruto, you need to put a leash on her. She gets aggravated too easily. Kakashi smiled behind his mask as he moved to the side and gestured for the three to go into the room that they were actually supposed to go in. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Suki asked, glaring at Kakashi as they walked right past him. Kakashi chose to ignore these words and just to disappear in a swirl of leaves. This left Suki unanswered, but it seems like Naruto had an answer. He means I'm the only one who can quote-unquote tame or subdue you. Stop being a quote-unquote asshole. Suki looked at Naruto, hating how he was taking Kakashi's side. You make it sound weird. Just stop, Suki commented. Naruto was still stoic as he gazed upon Suki's eyes. Stop, you're being a pervert again. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Not knowing the definition of pervert, he was gazing at a person for a long period of time. I think you misunderstand the meaning of pervert, Suki. He earned a soft scoff instead. Whatever, Naruto. Let's go inside. We have like 20 minutes left. Kakashi sensei was holding us off for a long time. Naruto and Suki agreed with this. Naruto stepped forward and opened the door, and his teammates followed him as he entered the room 301. The moment they entered the room, they were greeted by killing incense from different directions. Menma and Suki shrugged it off, even though it made them a bit uncomfortable. They had came across the killing intents of that made them want to kill themselves, so this was nothing but aesthetic, Naruto thought. Killing intent of such level did not move him. Madara had trained him to withstand the killing intent from even such beings as the QB. Madara might have been old at the time, but one, he made Naruto afraid by his killing intent. The first time he had experienced a dose of it was he fainted because it had been pressing him down like nothing he had ever felt before. Such things had made his killing intent student frightening for mere Genins. As they settled down by standing in place, silently, that is, they heard a voice suddenly appeared from their sides. This voice was quite recognizable. Oh, it's the troublesome team, said a lazy pineapple head. Naruto, Suki, and Menma looked right towards their right side and saw Shikamaru and his team approaching him. Naruto raised an eyebrow, just slightly. Oh, it's you, commented Naruto, now standing right in front of the Team 10, then their members. Shikamaru shrugged and yawned right after it. Yeah, it's us. It seems we're all in the tuning exams. This caused Suki to raise an eyebrow of her very own. The one sentence sent question right towards her head. What do you mean by we are? She questioned, slightly narrowing his eyes at the lazy Nara that stood right in front of her. The person who answered was not Shikamaru, but Choji. Yeah, the other rookies are here. Choji pointed right towards the side. The team followed the finger and landed on the approaching teammate. Oh, so that's what they meant. They nodded. Kiba, Shino, and Hinata approached them, with Kiba being the most confident out of them all, leading the team towards them. Yo! Kiba waved, standing right in front of the other six rookie Genin. Naruto nodded, slightly yawning right after that. He scanned all around and saw that many people were looking at them, interacting. They seemed to care about our conversation more than their own sleeves. Weird, Naruto thought, turning his attention back to the group that he had belonged with. Isn't it sad? Sakura was kicked out of her team and she became a medic ninja. Menma and Suki shrugged, not caring about the old news that they had just been told. Don't really care. She lacks perception, conviction, and skills in her own shinobi arts. Many of them sweat dropped at the words that escaped from Naruto's mouth. You seem rather confident, Kiba, Menma said with a smirk on his face. Kiba snorted. Of course I'm confident, he said. We did a lot of training since we became a Kenyan and we won't be losing to the likes of you as we did in the academy. He said confidently that he would beat someone like Menma. Menma snorted. There was no way that someone like Kiba would take him down. Kiba was saying what he was saying because he had a mouth to speak. Naruto looked away from the group as he sensed someone coming towards them. You guys should be quiet. Aren't you the rookie Genians? A silver-haired Genin said as he approached the group. The group of ninja took a look at him. The Genin had silver hair, his eyes were small and black in color, and he wore a large round glasses. He had a Konoha forehead protector tied around his forehead, signifying that he was a shinobi from Konoha. He wore a dark purple pants with shuriken holster on his right hip, a dark purple shirt, and black shinobi sandals. He looked to be in his early 20s, if not late teens. You are screaming like schoolgirls. This is not a picnic, he said, earning glares from the said Kenyans. Hell do you think you are? Menma said, feeling insulted by the Genin's remark. It was damning to his pride to be called a schoolgirl. Me? The elder Genin asked, half surprised. I'm Kabuto, but I'm not one of you should be worried about. Look behind you, he said. The rookies looked behind to see a pissed off Genny staring at them. Naruto did not bother to look around. They could stare at him all they liked. Most of the Genins felt nervous because of the glares that they were receiving from the other participants. It was like the whole room was against them. Ino pale, seeing the glares. If there was a bed somewhere in the room, she would quickly rush over to it and hide under it. Hinata was quickly to hide behind Kiba. She was using Kiba as her shield. Naruto looked at Kabuto with an unreadable expression. There was definitely something suspicious about the man. I have acquired a large amount of information due to me taking the exam for the seventh time. Some of the people in the rookie had a huge urge to burst out laughing, saying something like that out loud, but they chose not to. With these, I can give you a varying amount of information that I've collected in this room of the past participants. They all nodded, although Naruto was very skeptical about this, and it seems like Menma was very much had a few people in his mind, Uchiha Suki and Uzumaki Naruto. He slightly narrowed his eyes at the redhead that stood right in front of him. His motives interested Naruto greatly. Many people heard this and listened very closely. So, you have a few people in mind, huh? Do you even know their names? Now that will make it much easier for me. Kabuto did something weird thingy in his arms. Was it a trick? Was it a magic? Or was it actually real? It's probably real. First, Uchiha Suki from Konoha, aged 13 years old, was known as the last Uchiha. The nearby ninjas listened and snickered at that, but Suki ignored it. The teammates are Uzumaki Naruto and Namikaze Menma. Jonin Sensei is Hatake Kakashi. Mission history. Kabuto's eyes widen. D rank 19, A rank 1, S rank 1. Received a C rank that turned into S rank mission with teammates Uzumaki Naruto and Menma Namikaze when a client was targeted by missing ninja Zabuza of the mist. Naruto narrowed his eyes at Kabuto, wondering where and how he got all that information, while the room gaped at them in shock. Now, Uzumaki Naruto. He slowly started to pull the card that was in his hand, but as soon as he did, the card was brought out of his hand. Sorry, Naruto said, appearing right behind Kabuto with the card that had his information in hand, but my information is off limits. Naruto looked down at the card that he had just taken. His eyes slightly widened. He knows too much, Naruto thought, looking right behind and glancing at Kabuto for a brief moment. This guy doesn't act or talks like a genin, Naruto thought to himself, and he has information that only the Hokage people and I know. Kabuto likely chuckled at this, knowing he might have startled Naruto with the information. These are the number of participants of the different villages. They all saw the Konoha had the most and the sound had the least number of the participants in the end. As for the sound, you shouldn't be too wary of them. They're just a new village that has been recently founded by someone that I do not know of. This is obviously the ears of the sound ninjas that were here. Zaku, Ken, let's show that punk. They all nodded, quickly disappearing into the endless crowds of people that were all around them. The guy leading the team was Dosu. Dosu appeared right in front of Kabuto, shaking his arm due to the power that he was building up. Dosu threw a punch right towards Kabuto. Kabuto smirked and dodged it easily, but his glasses cracked and soon were in total pieces. Kabuto widened his eyes, falling towards the floor that everyone was currently standing right on top of. His body was currently aching. The three sound ninjas stood right in front of him. This is the power of the sound, you weakling. The person who had said this was Zaku. They were about to deal much more damage, but someone intervened. They were about to charge at Naruto when a puff of smoke was born within the room. I will not accept that kind of behavior in here. Got that? A figure said. That was one with the smoke had been born within the room said, sternly glaring at the students. He leaked out a dose of killing intent to make his points. The killing intent prompted the Genis to nod vigorously. The figure smiled. Alright, you maggots, take your seat now, he said in a firm voice, making the Genins hurry up to take their seats. The Genins took each of their assigned seats and looked back at the man in front of them. I'm Morino Ibiki. I'm the proctor of the first test of the Junior exam selections. The proctor introduced himself to the Genins. Those who do not follow my rules will automatically fail, he said as he released a burst of killing intent, scaring some of the Genins in the room. The first test will be a written test, he said as the tuning began to drop papers in front of each Genie. Rules of exam are as follows, and there will be no questions asked, he said with a commanding tone, releasing a killing intent to make it clear that he was serious. He tapped the chalkboard in front of the Genies and rules appeared. Tuning exam selections, test rules. First rule. The test takers start off by holding a perfect score of 10 points. The test itself has 10 points for each question answered correctly. A point is deducted. Rule 2. A test is of team events. The passing score of each team is calculated by adding the scores of each team with each member altogether. Rule 3. Those caught cheating will have 2 points deducted for each offense. Rule 4. Those who lose all their points or do not have any question to answer correctly will fail along with their teammates. All Genins read the board. Some looked at their teammates to see if they were prepared. I expect nothing but the best from the Genins trying to become Junins. He paused, looking at every Genin in the room. You'll answer the questions from 1 to 9. The 10th question will begin after we finish the first 9. The exam will have the timing of 45 minutes. Begin, he yelled the last part. The Genie flipped their papers. Naruto looked at the question and raised an eyebrow. He did not have been reading books and scrolls ever since he was 6 and would have never been able to answer any of these questions. He was thankful that Madara had brought him all those books he had brought him to read. Questions were difficult, but he could answer them. He was sure that even some Chunins couldn't answer this type of questions that were within the paper. It only meant that they did not expect for all of them to pass. Naruto thought for a moment before narrowing his eyes around the room. Suki had her Sharingan activated, copying the other movements as he was doing well. If it was not for the fact that he had been hiding his dojutsu, he would have surely done the same as Suki, just to make things interesting. He looked around the room and seemed like most of the Genins were cheating. Information gathering, Naruto thought, looking at the Genins who were cheating. He concluded that they were expecting the Genins to cheat without getting caught. It was a test to see if one had information skills. Such skills were useful for missions. Naruto did not have to worry about that. He had Zetsu who would do it for him, but that did not mean he did not learn a thing or two from him. He did learn a few things so that he could look for information himself whenever Zetsu was unavailable to do it for him. Because gathering information would not involve breaking into offices, private buildings, one has to be discreet. Such acts would only get one killed, should they be caught in the act. The Hyuga clan's Byakugan activated. The Byakugan was a very useful tool for something such as information gathering because of its eye of insight. See through all of the objects. They call it the all-seeing eye. Hinata looked to be checking him out. He figured out the girl might have been looking to see if she could help him since he had not yet answered any of the questions. He sighed and began to answer the questions. A few Genins caught cheating, which resulted them in being thrown out of the room. They were thrown out because they had been denying that they were cheating the exams. If one teammate was caught, it meant it was over for the whole team. Something like this could break all together, and the other ones would blame was caught for the cheating as the failure, which would be true. He had not been caught in. They were once never have failed the exam, but some would help each other seeing the answers in what their teammates lacked. 45 minutes were all over and Yubiki stopped them from answering any more questions. We'll begin with the 10th question and the final question, he announced, making everyone look up to him. Now, before we begin, I should tell you that there is an added rule to the questions. Now, these rules are for desperation. He paused to let every word sink in into their heads. The first rule is whether or you'll take the question or not, he said, making the Ghanaians look at him confusedly. Tamari and Naruto asked the question for everyone. What will happen if you choose not to take the question? She asked curiously. If you choose not to take the question, your points will be dropped to 0 and you, along with the teammates, will fail, he spoke. Then, we take the question, again he yelled, outstanding from the position. The other Ghanaians nodded in agreement with him. The other rule is associated with this question. If we take the question and answer it incorrectly, the person will lose the right to become the Chunin ever again, Ibiki stated with a serious tone, making them all believe what he was saying was that serious. Well, apparently, Kiba did not get it and shouted his thoughts. What kind of stupid rule is that? Some people have taken the tuning exam multiple times here, he shouted, pointing at Kabuto, who had told a rookie that he had taken the exams 7 times before. Ibiki smirked. You guys are just unlucky. This year's proctor is me. Some Ghanaians began to look at their teammates, trying to figure out what they were going to do. Whether to take the question and risk being unable to become a Chunin. They all failed. Naruto just sat there with a calm look on his face as always. But since I'm a nice guy, he said, getting the attention of the murmuring Ghanaians, I'm giving you a chance to choose whether to take the question or not. He paused for a moment to let them think. I have to stay calm and follow my teammate's lead. Menma thought to himself as he looked at Suki and Naruto, who both looked calm. Ibiki continued. Now let's begin with the 10th question. Those who do not wish to take the question may raise their hand, and once their numbers have been confirmed, they may leave. Silence engulfed the room as everyone was in their own thoughts. I can't take it, a random Ghanaian said. I just stood up and began to leave the room as his teammates followed behind him. Some of them also raised their hands. There were quite a number of teams who left because of fear. Naruto just shook his head at their actions. Fear was a really strong thing to use. The number died down and almost half of the participants had left. I'll repeat this once again. Your whole life is riding on this, and this is your last chance, he said, giving the Ghanaians the last chance to quiet the test. Ibiki looked right around the classroom just one more time before nodding his head. It seems there's more Ghanaian passing this time. I had expected at least 78. Now Ibiki thought, looking around the Junins. They all nodded right towards him. Ibiki took a deep breath before saying, well, congratulations. You passed the first test of the exams. And would go off the room as they were all shocked at what the man had just said. What? What about the 10th question? Tamari shouted. There is nothing as the 10th question, Ibiki said, as he began to explain what he had done. It was that the tuning captains had a responsibility to take missions, and when facing the decision on what missions to take, you might get a mission that you have no info about. You would rather get information. You cannot refuse a mission simply because it is too dangerous. That type of thinking, we will do it again next year, was not a mentality of a tuning. Naruto sensed someone approaching the window, fast. By the looks of it, the person was going to crash in the window. The window shattered and the Ghanaian looked at the banner that read, Sexy Second Exam Proctor, Anko Midorasi. Alright brats, there is no time for celebrations. I'm the second proctor of the exams. Now follow me, the female said, standing beside the Werner yelled. She had violet hair. Her eyes were brown. She wore a overcoat with a fitted mesh body that stretched from her neck to her thighs, a dark orange miniskirt. The Ghanaians got up from their seats and followed her. They followed her till they reached a fence. Behind the fence was the forest. It's of all bad vibes to the Ghanaians. There were no signs of danger at all over the fences. It signified that it was a dangerous place. Uncle had too sweet smile upon seeing the forest, as if she was familiar with it. Naruto knew that the movement was wolves in the forest of death playing with their snakes. Well, it was creepy. This is the training ground 44, also known as Forest of Death. You'll be where the second stage of the tuning exams begin, Uncle said with a grin.